Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Netherlands, Mr. Stef Blok, His Excellency the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to South Africa, Mr. Han Peters, distinguished members of the South African and Dutch delegations, our colleagues from the media. I am extremely pleased to welcome Minister Blok to South Africa and to this, the inaugural session of the Joint Commission for Cooperation between our two countries. We signed a memorandum of understanding creating this joint commission in 2015, Minister. But it's only today that we have an inaugural meeting at the political level with the two ministers present. Our relations with the Netherlands are very important for our country, and I hope through this meeting that you and I can commit to have this meeting at minimum on a biennial basis with an annual review to measure progress by our officials. We consider the Netherlands a strategic partner and a loyal friend that stood by us during our struggle for freedom and liberation. The anti-apartheid movement in the Netherlands was one of the strongest and most effective in the world, which successfully placed a constraint on any contact with apartheid governments in many spheres. And we always thank the people of the Netherlands for that support. Despite the absence of formal bilateral consultations, our missions in The Hague and Pretoria have played a vital role in bolstering relations. So our ambassadors have done well. They have coordinated visits and meetings for senior South African and Dutch government representatives. In fact, 2 or so years ago, I visited the Netherlands so many times, Minister, I thought I should ask for citizenship. Our principals have also met on the margins of the G20 summit in Buenos Aires in 2018, and you and I, Minister, had the opportunity to meet on the margins of the UN General Assembly in New York last year. Our country is pursuing its development priorities through the policy we've adopted under the National Development Plan, which is our Vision 2030, as we call it. This is a framework for the transformation of our country, South Africa. I'm pleased that our countries have a number of cooperation agreements in a range of fields that are responsive to the National Development Plan. So our plan emphasizes the importance of science and innovation, of investment in research and technology, on the establishment of cooperatives, on ensuring that we have water security. We have a water scarce country, and hopefully we can rely on the Netherlands to share some of the abundant water resources you have. We also are investing as a priority in agriculture and implementing a strategic set of investments in that sector. We believe each of the sectors I've referred to are key to South Africa's economic growth, as they can contribute to the government's efforts to uplift our people from the triple challenges we often refer to of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. These are our biggest challenges as South Africa. We also are working hard to create safer communities where women and young girls feel safe and protected. In fact, our president has taken on personally the fight against gender-based violence, which is a very significant challenge in our country, and I know, Minister, you yourself have a concern on gender equity. We of course know that we as governments must ensure that we strengthen bilateral relations, but for us it is trade and investment which form the bedrock of the relationships we wish to establish, particularly in expanding export potential and in attracting foreign direct investment into South Africa, as we believe these two areas will play a significant role in supporting South Africa to increase economic growth and provide employment for particularly the youth in our country. We've been very thrilled that we've seen foreign direct investment increase into South Africa. This signals that our government is working hard at establishing a good investment climate. The number of Dutch companies operating in South Africa is a good indication that our government has begun to succeed in this area, although we know there's still many challenges to overcome. You would be aware, Minister, that President Ramaphosa has set in motion the holding of investment summits annually, which seek to attract foreign direct investment. He has set himself a target of attracting at minimum $100 billion to South Africa within his 5-year first term in office. We are open for business, and we are encouraged by the attendance of Dutch companies at the 2 summits we have held thus far. You will recall from our discussions at the General Assembly that Africa remains a key focus for our foreign policy, and that our prosperity is very much linked to that of the African continent. South Africa, as from this month, will begin assuming the chair of the African Union under the theme Silencing the Guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development. We will promote the creation of a momentum of initiatives which will enhance our project of continental unity through the African Union. We also intensify efforts toward integration and development through implementation of Africa's Agenda 2063. Our President has also committed to enhancing efforts to implement the just agreed Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement and ensuring that we take the steps toward its full implementation. We've also agreed that we will support the African Union to digitize the archives of the Organization of African Unity, which was the precursor organization to the African Union, that we will see the beginnings of the building of the Pan-African Parliament building in South Africa. We've agreed to host this institution, and will undertake a number of initiatives that are directed at ending the conflicts on our continent, with a specific focus on Libya, as well as on the conflict on the dam on the Nile, where Egypt and Ethiopia are in dispute. Our President has agreed to seek to facilitate a agreement between the countries involved. So I believe that this meeting provides us with a really excellent opportunity to exchange information on these matters, as well as to perhaps delve into how we might address some of the challenges that confront the world today, because it's interesting that although we're so far apart, the challenges that confront us have an amazing similarity. We all are challenged by matters of migration. We're challenged by issues of diversity, the empowerment of women, and of course ensuring we address climate change and all its effects. So I hope through our deliberations that we will begin to find some opportunity for increased collaboration between South Africa and the Netherlands in addressing these matters. So having said that, let me conclude, Minister, by stating how delighted I am at your presence in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your very kind words. And it is a great pleasure for me and my delegation to be here today, knowing that South Africa and the Netherlands have a very intensive and long-standing relationship, ranging from politics to economy, culture, education, research, water and agriculture, and many other fields. And there are more than 300 Dutch companies active here in South Africa, creating more than 100,000 jobs, and all of them very ambitious to increase their presence. And of course, we have a very important tradition of study exchange. For decades, students from Netherlands have been visiting South Africa, South African students in Netherlands. And of course, I realize I'm sitting next to the best example of our cooperation in the field of education, because you've been awarded an honorary professorship in the Netherlands, in my beloved town of Leiden. Furthermore, we are at a very important moment in time that you already referred to, ahead of the South African presidency of the African Union. And at the same time, the new European Commission is preparing to write a new, ambitious new strategy for Africa, because as you rightly said, Minister, our destinies are intertwined. For all the reasons you mentioned, from climate change to economic development and migration. So there is no alternative to cooperating, to making sure that both bilateral and multilateral cooperation flourishes, which, especially in the multilateral field, might seem harder than in days that lie behind us, but have become even more important. And I know South Africa is very much engaged in upholding the multilateral system, plays a prominent role in the Security Council, the African Union, which we greatly value, and where we would like to cooperate as much as possible. So there's much on the agenda today, and I'm very much looking forward to a productive discussion for you and me and our delegation.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A very warm welcome and very productive discussions we've just had, where we exchange views on a number of very important issues, like security, stability on the African continent, and how we can strengthen the cooperation between the European Union and the African Union. And we agreed that we both want to invest more in the economic relations between our two countries and work closer together on international issues like human rights and international justice. And of course, our work does not end here. We will continue to support the many South African and Dutch people, non-governmental organizations, businesses, universities and institutes that work together. And the joint communique that we just signed rightly reflects our excellent relationship, and I hope that the next joint commission will take place in the Netherlands in 2022.
Thank you. So, Sophie, I'll do your work, and these are right. Should I move it closer? All right. There you go. Thank you very much, Minister Blok, to you and your delegation, both for the visit as well as the extremely constructive discussions we have had. I'd also like to thank Ambassador Peters for making sure that this meeting actually happens. This was our inaugural session of the Joint Commission for Cooperation between South Africa and the Kingdom of Netherlands. We reaffirmed our long-standing and very warm bilateral relationship. Out of the meeting, a number of possibilities of further collaboration have emerged, and we're very excited at that. The nature of the meeting and the content of our discussions have indicated that we can indeed proceed to strengthen this relationship and to achieve even greater success through it. I'd like to thank the Kingdom of the Netherlands for its ongoing support regarding a number of issues that are very close to our development aspirations, as articulated in our National Development Plan 2030. We are thrilled that our matters of trade, science and innovation, water management and transport continue to receive attention in our bilateral relationship, and that we will focus on even more areas of collaboration, particularly in the energy sector and in effective responses to the challenges of climate change. We are very encouraged by the involvement of Dutch companies in sectors that are key for economic growth in South Africa, and we appreciate the continued confidence such investments have indicated. I'm also thrilled that we were able to spend some detailed attention on Africa and the development priorities both of South Africa in its chairship of the African Union in this year, 2020, but on also other matters of development that both our countries are focused upon on the continent. I'm very pleased at the Netherlands' commitment to us achieving peace and stability on the African continent and the role that the Netherlands is playing, in particular in South Sudan as well as Sudan. We count on the Netherlands' continued support in ensuring that we address the need for all to enjoy human rights and that development should be a priority for all democracies on the continent and worldwide. I am sure that we're going to work together to support the United Nations multilateral efforts because we both believe this is very important, including implementation of relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions, particularly those directed at finding peaceful and lasting solutions to conflict areas around the globe. I wish to reiterate our country's commitment to the realization of the goals of Agenda 2030, one aspiration of which is that there should be zero hunger and zero poverty in the world by 2030. I also wish to extend my profound appreciation to all those who've contributed to the successful meeting and to what we've achieved through cooperation between the Netherlands and South Africa. And I close by expressing the hope, Minister, that our partnership will grow and that we will work hard to achieve the objectives both of us have agreed upon in our meeting. So thank you very much for your presence here, and we thank our colleagues from the media for coming to this closing briefing. Thank you very much.